Guys, we're going to take a moment and talk about negotiating and what you need to negotiate both when you're buying and selling a property using owner financing. This is going to be a two-part conversation. We're going to start off with, of course, acquisitions. Now, let me preface this conversation by saying investors are cheap. Guys, I'm an investor and I'm cheap. Just ask my business partner and she'll be free to tell you those things. Anyhow, we all want to use a contract we got off the internet or given to us by some guru. That is great. If you're going to do that, just take a moment and make certain you have a local real estate attorney in your state review it to ensure that it's compliant for your state. I'm also going to make a comment that I love to use promulgated contracts when doing this because they are there for a specific reason. But it doesn't mean they have to fit your terms because usually they don't. So take that promulgated contract and put with it a sophisticated addendum to meet the needs of what it is you're doing, whether you're buying a home using creative finance or selling one using creative finance. So let's start off talking about what we need to know when we're negotiating an owner finance contract for buying a home from a seller. So first off, I like to say, know what the seller's needs are. Is it cash? Is it terms? Is it a combination of both? Which is what it usually is along the way. Next is, what is your end goal? Is it to be a rental property? Is it to be an owner finance property? Is it to be a retail fix and flip property or something else? Know what it is that you're negotiating and how to meet your end goal. I think that's all important in our transaction. Now, when you start off, guys, you've got to know what the ARV is of your property, the after repaired value. And obviously that means you've got to know if this property is going to need any repairs. When I go and visit a home, before I get there, I know exactly what my ARV is. I'm able to take some time at the property and quickly assess reasonable repairs of that property to get it into retailable or saleable condition. And then I meet with the seller and discuss the situation and what it is they're looking for. Now, from there, always ask questions of the seller about their home. Remember, most of the time, 98% plus, they live in this home. It is their homestead. They know all the issues. Are there problems that they can tell you? Has the roof been leaking? Does the AC and heat work okay? What about the sewer line? Check the little details out and ask a lot of questions and make certain they fill out that seller's disclosure of property condition so you have something to fall back on both when you're buying and maybe future selling of the property. So when you're talking to the seller, ask them what the underlying liens are, if any, on the property. Now, first off, if there are none, great, man. It is open season for negotiating the deal with the seller. But if there are existing liens, what are those? Is it a mortgage lien, IRS lien, judgment lien, home equity lien, line of credit? What is it? You need to know the details and get that information from them to allow you to put together your contract appropriately. Guys, it is so important to ask these questions and to do your homework and research because I have found many, many sellers who have done a loan modification in the past. They now have this zero interest, zero payment HUD second lien on the property, and it is out of sight, out of mind. They don't even know it's there, they don't remember it, and they don't tell you about it. So do your homework, ask the right questions, and know what's out there. It will help you to negotiate your deal. Now, as you're putting together the transaction, understanding what the seller's needs are now, oftentimes our sellers want their price. I get it, but if they want their price, we get our terms. That might be a very low interest rate. It might be no interest rate. It might be a longer amortizing term or shorter, whatever it might be for the scenario that's out there. If you want to get your price, sometimes the sellers want their terms. But guys, remember, in our industry, we are dealing with homeowners. They're not real estate investors. They have no idea how to negotiate the transaction. Most of the time, there's not even a realtor involved, and if there is, that doesn't really help too much because the realtors don't understand the business or the industry. Now, if there is a real estate attorney involved, that will change things drastically, and you got to be better on your game as you put your transaction together as to what you're trying to accomplish along the way. Now, what will be the terms of your loan? Is it going to be interest only? Is it going to be fully amortized? Is it going to be a short-term loan, maybe with a balloon payment and a 30-year amortized payment mechanism? Or will it be a 5-year, 10-year, maybe a 15-year fully amortized loan based upon what the seller needs? Just recently, I negotiated a transaction where the seller was wanting a particular price and needed cash. So knowing what my back-end strategy was, I was able to put together a transaction that gave the seller the cash he needed up front, in this case about $50,000, and I negotiated a back-end seller carry wrapping around the existing mortgage on the property. But it was at zero interest, and because it was a much less payment for me, it made the transaction work overall. But again, I knew how I was going to handle my back-end deal. Guys, it's all about the math at the end of the day. So run your numbers appropriately. Talk to the seller about taxes and insurance. If there's no debt on the property, do they want escrow or not? Most of the time you're going to find they don't want to mess with it. If they do have an existing mortgage, more often than not, there's going to be escrow being collected by their mortgage company, meaning you're going to have to pay yours as well. Look at things like, is there mortgage insurance on their mortgage statement? Because if there is, somehow you're going to have to build that into your equation on behalf of the seller out there. Ask the question, is there an HOA? Now, if it's a gated community, that's going to be a foregone conclusion. Of course there is. If it's not, oftentimes it may appear there's no HOA, but there is. Is it mandatory or not mandatory? Negotiate who's going to pay the resale certain transfer fees, and make sure you do your title searches to ensure that there aren't any outstanding liens on the property from an HOA perspective, and get that resale cert. Find out who's going to order it. In today's world, most HOAs want to get paid up front before they provide the resale cert along the way. Who's going to do that? Is it the seller, you, both? Ask the questions and get things out of the way. Do you need an inspection period or not? Now, as the investor buying the property, more often than not, we don't get the chance to inspect. We have to move too quick. So just make certain that when you're there at the property, do as thorough of an investigation as you can. Now, oftentimes I like to state about going back a second time to meet the seller. 1, signing my initial contract. 2, going back to re-sign disclosures once I've gathered information from the seller, if there's existing mortgages, etc. So I get a chance to better explain the transaction to the seller, as well as put my eyes on the house one more time. You can never investigate these houses too many times and ask too few or too many questions. Find out what the seller's needs are for move out. Are they going to be out of the property at time of closing? Do they need a week, a month, something else? Is it going to be a freebie to let them stay, or are they going to pay rent? But if there's cash involved in the transaction, may I suggest you hold something back in escrow so that when they do vacate, they leave the house in reasonable, broom clean condition. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of money trashing out that property, removing the stuff they left behind. And it happens all the time. Take a moment also as you go through this and talk to that seller how they are protected, how your contract is going to stipulate that they're going to be secured by a deed of trust. Just like when they bought the property originally, they went to a bank or a mortgage company, got a loan on the property. They gave their lender a note and a deed of trust. In the same way, you're going to be giving them a note and deed of trust, and they're going to become the bank. Remember, again, they're not investors. They don't understand the game. And you've got to come down from that 40,000-foot view down to ground level and make sure they understand these things. It'll give them a comfort zone that they really need to have to help secure your transaction. And lastly, remember guys, most of the time we are dealing with the seller's homestead. They have memories. This is their home. They live there. Not only that, but if there are existing issues, whether they're problems with the house, financial issues, other issues that are causing them to sell, especially to us in the investor community, understand those kind of things and have sympathy on those items. It will help you secure that transaction as you're negotiating that deal with the seller along the way. They know they have problems. They don't need to be reminded of them. What they need to be reminded of is how we as the investor are going to help them solve their problem. Now, from there, go get your contract signed, guys. So to wrap things up, guys, as you do this, always take a moment and consult a knowledgeable real estate attorney in your marketplace, in your state, and make certain that the documents you're using, the contracts, disclosures, whatever it might be, are proper and correct for your state. Make sure you understand what, if any, additional disclosures you need to include in a contract offer. Lead-based paint disclosures, seller's disclosure of property condition, or other state-specific forms that need to be executed at time of contract. Always remember, knowledge is power, and get it done up front. It'll make you look and feel more professional. So if you found this video helpful and looking to take the next steps in your real estate investment career, head over to theownerfinancenetwork.com, where you'll find a lot more free videos and other videos you can obtain that will help you in your real estate investment career. So if you like this video, take a moment and like it, and also reach out to us and give us more topics that you'd like to hear from, and we'll do our best to do those videos for you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for part 2 on sales with owner financing.